put an end to this topic once and for all, turn the Hubble round and show us Earth in real time, zooming in onto a place so that we can see what's happening at that place, and we know that there is something up there looking down on us from space. But they will not do it. They can't do it. It can't. It doesn't exist. It literally doesn't exist. It's all fraud. It's all fake. Pretty much everything NASA puts out is fraudulent. Nobody has actually really gone all the way across Antarctica. Yeah. Now there are millionaires out there who could, assemble the resources to make an expedition and completely, go across and chart Antarctica and make a name for themselves, being the first person to do that. Yeah. But nobody ever does. Now you can actually measure the temperature of the moonlight next to the temperature of the shade of the moonlight, and you'll find the moonlight is colder than the shade, the opposite from the sun. So the moon is throwing out its own light, and that light is the opposite from the sun. Now, that tells you that it's not reflecting the sun's light. It's producing its own, and its light is different from the sun's. So, the scientific community have not told us this, because they won't tell us this, because it destroys this idea that the sun is lighting up the moon. The other thing that's about the spinning Earth is looking at the stars. Now, directly above the axis of spin is the pole star, Polaris, directly over the North Pole. And we're told that the reason that all the stars spin around the North Star is because the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. Seems to make sense, because if you put a long exposure camera pointing at the North Star, you'll see the stars will make perfect circles around, perfect star trails. The only problem is the Earth is also orbiting the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. The sun is moving, dragging the Earth and all the planets up that way or that way at 600,000 miles an hour. So why do we see perfect circles? Because that's the slowest speed, that's slowest motion in that mix. And yet the Earth is moving 67 times faster that way and 600 times faster that way. So you should see the stars do all sorts of strange motions, but you don't. You only see them make these perfect circles. That tells me that it's the stars that are moving, not the Earth. If a pilot is flying around the curve of the Earth, then he should be dipping the nose down. Every 5 minutes he should be dipping the nose down to stay around the curve. But the thing that really got me interested was, as you say, the gyroscope. In a plane there is an artificial horizon, and it's based on a gyroscope. And if you spin a gyroscope on a surface, it will want to stay upright. You can twist and tilt the surface as much as you like. The gyroscope will stay upright. So if a plane has a gyroscope and it starts following the curve of the Earth, the gyroscope would stay upright, which means the artificial horizon will start to roll backwards. But it doesn't. That's absolute proof that a plane flies over a flat surface rather than a curved one. Because I asked the pilot on my last flight, do you ever notice the artificial horizon rolling backwards? He said, no, but the artificial horizon has complex electronics in it to make sure it knows where it is on the Earth and it compensates. But I went to the manufacturer of the artificial horizon, and they confirmed to me that it's completely mechanical, nothing electronic in it whatsoever. So it's literally just a gyroscope that can freely move. So that right there is proof to me that planes fly over a plane. The problem is that we're taught as children, this ball Earth lie, and You know, you might ask as a child, you know, what about the people in Australia? You know, they're standing on the bottom of the globe, won't they fall off? And your teacher says, no, gravity. And you go, oh, okay. And you never go back to that question. But when you go back to it as an adult and start looking at it with a critical eye, right, the whole thing falls apart. As you say, the globe is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's a leading astronomer in America, tells us that the Earth is not a perfect circle. It is actually an oblate spheroid. It's squashed and wider at the equator. Yeah? So,
Znači, po-stesnet je na polovite, a po-širok je na ekvatorot.
Exactly. So my question to him would be, why is there land at the equator? Because water will move more readily than rock. So if the Earth is spinning, the water will be collected at the equator. I mean, if you spin a wet tennis ball, okay, you spin a wet tennis ball, the water shoots off at the equator, essentially. So all the water will be gathered around the equator. So why is there land at the equator? Doesn't make any sense. It seems like Admiral Byrd found the edge of the dome, okay, while he was out there. And as soon as he left there, they started firing missiles straight up, I believe, to try and test how far that dome went. If you watch the trajectory of the space shuttle, it doesn't go straight up. It always goes in a curve and out to sea. Yeah, and if you see it,
Why is that?
well, because
Is it normal to go straight up?
Well,
as fast as he can to go out of the atmosphere?
I've been talking to a few people in sort of the scientific community, and they'll say, no, straight up isn't the right way to go. You have to sort of go sort of around the curve and get speed to get into orbit. But still, the point is that they actually go horizontal. The space shuttle goes horizontal. It never goes any further up. It goes horizontal, very, very low down in the atmosphere, because it drops its external tank while it's still in the atmosphere. So you know, it's still in the atmosphere while it's horizontal. So it never gets any higher, and it goes out of sight. Not because it goes too high, because it goes too far downrange. And it seems that nobody's ever on the space shuttle. And the proof of that is the Challenger disaster. In, I believe it's 1986, the Challenger exploded just after takeoff and killed 7 astronauts. But it turns out that 6 of the astronauts are still alive. And most of them are using their original names. And you can find pictures of them. They're using the same names, and they're doing ordinary jobs now. Teachers, lecturers, lawyers, whatever. But they're still alive. And you can see whenever the space shuttle lands, you can hear it. It's a loud jet engine. You watch any video of the space shuttle landing, you can tell it's a jet engine. It's a jet-powered aircraft. That's it. It's not a glider. In my video, I show you a glider, how that seems, and then I show you the space shuttle. And yeah, it's not a glider. It's an aircraft. And that's what they're fooling us. Taking billions of dollars in and giving us images and fake planes for that 10 billion, you know, however many billions of dollars it is. That isn't the first thing that's been hidden over the years. I mean, we're all driving petrol cars because 100 years ago, the Rockefeller family basically cornered the market on oil, and the car industry was going electric. So, you know, all cars would have been electric from the get-go, but they basically forced everybody to use petrol cars, and have hidden this secret. And literally, you know, we could be running around in electric cars that have unlimited mileage by now.